priority in the event of natural disasters or a high incident situation. So like, for example,
We talked about that, I'm not sure what we ever.
yeah, so for example, like in Florida, when the school shooting was going on, every parent, everybody was all trying to get on the network at the same time. The cellular network became overwhelmed. What the AT&T and Verizon do is they reserve a bandwidth for first responders. And regardless of how busy the network gets, the first responders will be able to get through it.
Right.
So that's what they're, and then they have other benefits and discounts and other things that go along with it. But what it comes down to is you just get prioritized service over everybody else in the event of an incident, whether it's a main incident or a natural incident. And that would apply for pretty much all the cell phones in the township, because the road crew is also considered first responder staff. But that would be for EMS, fire, police, and municipal. Would all be part of that program. So that's something that we're going to talk about at the next Chiefs meeting too. Did I miss anything?
No, that covers it.
Okay.
Civic Plus, township website.
I want to give an update. My timeline was a little too aggressive for us rolling this out. When we told Civic Plus, we knew it was only a couple of weeks worth of work, but then Civic Plus said we didn't take into account that we have some backlog. So what was supposed to be 2 weeks is probably looking at more realistically 6 weeks to even a little bit longer before we're going to actually have a lot of websites to look at. You should, what did they say in terms of releasing spot, we're looking at a couple weeks and they would have something that we'd be able to send you a link to where you'd be able to kind of go into it. It wouldn't be live yet and you'd be able to look at it at that. But they'll need just under 2 weeks to transfer the data over at this point, but they're not starting yet.
It's not starting yet, so it'll be 2 weeks after the start.
So, well, it'll be 2 weeks to go live with a document for you to look at. It's not 2 weeks until you're going to be looking at something at this point. So I just want an update on that one. I misspoke when I said 2 weeks without taking into account that we're not going to immediately be able to jump on it.
I like the 2 weeks better.
I was being a little, the class was a
It
little.
did say which 2 weeks.
Right. The class was a little too half full for me on that one. I don't know too overly eager for stuff. Woody Waste, I do want to update that. And Alan was involved with this and is aware of it. I wanted to just update the rest of the board as well as the public. On the positive side, we sold a heck of a lot of Woody Waste gift cards. And the residents have responded very well to it. But on the downside, the gate's still up. And there's a reason why the gate's still up. Multiple reasons actually why the gate's still up, in terms of compounding of issues with the vendor. The initial cards that we got, we sent out to the batch of 50 that we got, we sent out, and as people bought them, we gave cards out. There was an issue where we had cards that we had paid for that were not provided. So then we went through a couple weeks period of time to get additional cards in. So during that time, we had to leave the gate open, and we collected the people's residence fees, and we told them we would mail the cards once we get new cards in. About 2 weeks ago, we got new cards in. And I told Lisa before we start issuing the cards that we're going to test every card. So I went down there tried testing the gate when we go up or down, so we became a little frustrated. Then we thought, well, maybe there's something wrong with the software. So we went through, we had about a week's worth of issues getting the software, working with them on the software. Got the software, everything fixed, everything right, and we still can't get the gate cards to operate things. So got a little frustrated more and sent a couple little terse communications to our vendor about not what we paid for. And the next day the vendor showed up with a technician. And it turns out we were given the wrong gate cards for the system. And then there's a backlog to get the correct gate cards in. So we'll probably have at least another week of this until we get gate cards in. The technician will come down, we'll double check the system, make sure the gate cards operate. Once we have a confirmation that the gate goes up or down, we'll then mail out all the back-ordered gate cards, but now we need to mail out the first 50 that we gave out too, because
And we want them back.
it's a totally, because now it's a long story short about compatibility and mixing gate cards, stuff like that. It was cleaner just to send all the a new batch of gate cards out and collect the ones back that we had already received and put the correct numbers in the system. So there's a lot of redo work putting the correct numbers in, as well as getting these gate cards mailed out. Once we get a reasonable amount of time for the mail to deliver the gate cards, we will then finally lower the gate.
But might I make a suggestion that when
Because
we,
people are-
since some of these people paid for these, and you probably thought of it maybe a month or 2 months ago already, and still don't have a gate card, when we issue the new gate cards, that then becomes the date that they apply.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're,
So
everybody's,
there's a grace period in there,
Yeah.
we're gonna forgive them and move forward for another year.
yeah, everybody will have a 1-year start date when they
Thank you.
receive their gate card.
Thank you.
And we will also have a letter explaining to the residents what occurred. And we've answered a number of phone calls, especially for the original 50.
There were human beings involved.
Yeah.
The vendor has a new technician that was a salesman. The technician that came out was one of the 20-year veterans of the
Knew what
group
to do.
who actually knew what to do and started correcting some of the problems that we were having. And that person, given our frustration that we expressed, has
He was
taken
very nice. He
an
was.
active involvement now from this project on forward, and will, like I said, he will personally deliver the cards and be here to make sure they work. So that when we mail them out, we will not have any more snafus going forward. So the cards will be all verified before they get mailed out. We're not gonna mail out anything to any resident unless those cards work.
So if you see a couple of people standing out here with, and it's raining, they have an umbrella over their head and they're pushing it in the slot, that's what it's all about.
What happened was, they had 4 different facility codes. The first bunch of cards came with one facility code, the next one came with a different facility code. So the numbers on the card for the first one, when they put the second one in, didn't match up. There's a number on the card, so everybody gets a card. When they wand it, it'll say that person went in and went out. And we had 4 different facility cards, and you only could, I think, put 2 in your system.
Yeah, but you're supposed to have one at the same time. So
Yeah,
we have mismatch of cards.
yeah, so it was a total mess up.
So I just want to give an update. We have been, we are now getting a call about once a day, like what's, we've got people that paid, and we just keep reassuring them, the gate will not come down, we proceed their payment, and the gate will stay up until such time that we have cards to issue out to people, so.
Good deal.
Yeah. Nothing simple. 2019 audit.
Mr. Secretary, I would read the motion first once I find it here, and then for you to consider, because this is a new business item. But the motion is to accept the 2019 audit and place the audit on the township website. We're still working on the language and the and I don't have it for you today. You can still do that motion, but I'm not ready yet to have us put the advertisement in the paper. We have what's the ballpark range of the numbers? 7 million?
7,097,000.
Some number like that. It shows a revenue deficit. And we need to explain that because it really is, we approve balanced budgets, there is no deficit. So when someone sees that and they don't have an explanation as to why, it's going to cause a lot of calls and questions when actually it's a couple of very simple reasons. It's the Denver Road paving with the PID line. They show that as an expense without funds, even though it's stupid how the county works. And the other thing is, the big item was the pension purchase of the annuities. While there was revenue that paid for it, it came out of the pension fund, and all of our retirees got their buyout with principal for annuities. They're off our books. So it was a one-time expense, and it was actually paid for from the pension fund, but with the way DCED accounts for it, it shows it as a deficit, even though it's not a deficit, it was paid for. So I think I want to have itemized things as to what's in that deficit, so everybody can see what they are. But the 2 biggest items involve the PID loan and the purchase.
You know I'm laughing. Accounting logic. It shows as a deficit. We know exactly why it was done, it was planned.
Yeah, plus.
It shows as a deficit, but it wasn't a deficit.
Yeah, and they combine restricted funds too, and we want to kind of itemize
Right.
that so it's user friendly.
No, I think that's important to do because that involves the police pension and the amount of work. I mean, that was all done perfectly, so.
I saw that big number and I choked, and I was like, we're, before that gets advertised in the paper, there needs to be a little disclaimer as to what that number is, and have that put in the ad too, so that we can avoid some unnecessary phone calls about township running up a $7 million bill and having no way to pay for it.
We've got to put a little line in there about accounting best practices and make fun of why they say that's a negative.
So, but if you would consider the motion to accept, there was no findings, it was a clean audit.
Yep.
And we can put the audit on the website, and when I have it advertised, I'll just send you guys a copy as a heads up, and then we'll put it there. The only thing that's changing in the ad that you've seen is an explanation
This way.
of what those items are by dollar.
And when we put that on the website also, there should be that memo in there noting that explanation.
Once we have that. Right now, they didn't put is the whole audit themselves, so if someone wants to go through and read through, they can put all the pieces together without the summary. Once we have the summary ready to advertise, then I'll put the summary on the website.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So the motion is to accept the 2019 audit and place the audit on the township website.
I make the motion.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Manager's report.
Really don't have too much to report, so I didn't prepare one, because most of it was covered in old business at this point. But there is a couple things I do want to talk about. Lexon, we have a settlement, a verbal settlement for Lexon at this point for Heatherwoods. So we're going to need to now have a conversation, a meeting with Burke's Homes to go over the work that's to be done, make sure that everybody agrees now that the work to be done. It is less than what we had asked for, but Burke's Homes feels they can do it. And there's some other tweaks that I don't want to talk about right now in that number that makes it possible for us to do that. So we do have a verbal settlement with Lexon, and now it's just a meeting with Burke's Homes to go over the work to be done at this point.
Very good. Wonderful.
The other thing is just cleaning up some old stuff. There's, as you're aware, or may not be aware, there's 3 boxes in our conference room that says, Scott, do not remove. That is all the preemption gear for the Church Street signal that we've been sitting on for a while now, because we put that grant application in with PennDOT to see if we can get an upgrade of an intersection. Well, I told you a couple of months ago, we didn't get the grant.
Right.
So I reached out to Ritu to update the signal permit, and I gave CMI a heads up that we're going to want to install that equipment. So that'll be coming. So I just wanted to get that out. Street sweep will be April 9th or April 8th, the week of. And like I said, the road crew next week, I'll be working on Homestead to get some of the materials picked up for the street sweeper will then pick it up, as well as some areas that we did in the fall with our fall oil chip. Denver Road Bridge warranty work was another thing that was waiting on the street sweep. So we coordinated with the contractor, and they coordinated with their sub. They will be putting the ceiling down the week of April 8th too, after the street sweep occurs in the bridge. So Chris is all over that one. Just a reminder too that we've got PSATs coming up in 2 weeks. So we're going to, a number of us will be at PSATs, and a lot of fun and urge you learn how to be better managers and better supervisors. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Public comment for non-agenda item, please state your name before you speak.
Thomas Smith.
Sir.
This is about an old case. I was wondering if I could be assigned to somebody else due to conflict of interest and favoritism.
Say that again?
I was wondering if I could be, assigned to another official board member due to conflict of interest and favoritism.
What's your conflict of interest, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be with him.
Is it a
He's
conflict of interest?
friends with
or-
these people that I've been fighting for 2 years.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
He's friends with people that I've been trying to get stuff cleaned up.
Can I address that to the
Yeah.
board, please? Mr. Smith is right. I'm friends with about 10,300 residents in this township, and I treat them all fairly as the law and the ordinances state. I'm also a friend of Mr. Smith's. So I take a little bit of a cautious attitude with his comments about being friends with other property owners. There's no favoritism going on. I'm treating them fairly and justly and basically according to the rules and regulations of this municipality. Mr. Smith's property is also non-compliant with property maintenance. I've been working with him on that. So I don't know where he's coming across with me being friends with the other property owners. I can produce many friends in this township that I have here that I've worked with and served them notices of violations, and we're still friends to this day. So I don't know where that comment's coming from.
Mr. Smith, let me ask you a question. You were in here about 2 weeks ago. Has any of this, has there been any burning out there, as you had alluded to in the earlier meeting? Has that? There has. Okay. You do me a favor.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a phone number I want you to call the next time you see it.
Okay,
Okay? I'll see you after the meeting.
okay.
Okay? I'm not assigning you anyone different, but I'm just saying there's a phone number I want you to call.
Okay.
And it won't be Harvey's. No, I know. I saw you said
As long as his wife don't answer the phone.
One thing to add, I was out just yesterday at the subject property. I have photographs documenting any progress or non-progress being made at these properties. I have those photographs and whatnot. I also ran into Mr. Smith. He was out on his property while I was there, and we had a good conversation. As far as the burning is concerned, the folks there have a permit for an outdoor wood burning furnace. We have approvals for that process in the township. We have many of those in the township. These people are required to burn only certain items. Regular firewood, you're not allowed to burn dimensional lumber. I explained all of that to Mr. Smith, and we've gone through this many other times. I've explained that to the property owners with the wood burning furnace. They have made some progress by removing, on their property maintenance issues, by removing pallets, skids. They've actually relocated the wood burner that was down along the creek in the riparian buffer. That has been moved. They had 2 tractor trailers loaded with whatever. Those have been removed from the property, and I have documentation to prove that. So we've got some progress being made, but quite honestly, this issue has been going on with these neighbors long before I have been involved. And we're doing everything that we can by the letter of the law to make sure that they're compliant. It may not be as fast as Mr. Smith wants, but I can't do too much about that except to stay on top of this case and make these people see what's happening. Now, I will say, the owners of that property have called me on Monday of this week to give me an update and invited me out to take photographs to show that their progress. Due to the weather, as we all know, it's been pretty wet. That was part of their problem, but everybody's got excuses, everybody's got problems. The bottom line is they've got to be compliant, as does Mr. Smith, as does the property next to him, and everybody else in this township. If the board would like, I can easily share the photographs after the meeting, show you what progress has been made and what hasn't been made.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Pardon?
Okay? Sure. Thank you. Okay. I have 2 announcements. The April 18th, sorry. The April 18th Board of Supervisors meeting is canceled because it's Good Friday. Also, last Thursday, March 28th, we had an executive session for contract issues from 2 to 3 here, and nothing was decided at that meeting. Okay. Anything else for the good of the board? Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.